Hey, this is Robert from Thorn Technologies here with another StorageLink video. This video is going to cover a more esoteric setup that's a bit advanced, but it'll demonstrate some interesting things that you could do with StorageLink, and um, I think this use case might come up in some situations, and uh, I think just knowing that this type of scenario is possible would be useful for some customers. So first off, I have a diagram here that has StorageLink configured in an HA setup. We've got a load balancer, we've got an instance group with multiple instances, we've got a Postgres SQL database, and then the files end up in a GCS bucket. So this is StorageLink in HA. Now, let's say that you have these HA instances and you want to configure these in like a DMZ that's public facing. So you might want to harden these instances in a special way, but you also want to manage the users via admin access, either through the web interface or maybe an API, like a headless server that just accepts the API. You want to manage the users on a separate box that's different from the hardened VMs that the customers or the clients are going to connect on. And so how would you spin up a separate admin VM that points to this setup? And so in this video, I'm going to walk you through this process. So normally, if you were to spin up a single VM, the database would be local to the VM. But if you were to spin up HA, the VMs would point to an external database. And so the approach that we're going to take is we're going to spin up this separate VM, but we're going to trick this VM into thinking that we're in an HA setup. We're going to say we are in HA, and we're going to point you to this existing database, and then if everything turns out okay, this VM will spin up, and it'll actually point to this SQL database that's part of this other stack, but it is not part of this instance group. So that's the overall setup that we're going for. First off, we're going to start, as our starting point, we're going to have this already in place, and then we're going to spin this one up in this video. So for this diagram, the HA stack, I already have in Deployment Manager an HA stack already spun up. And if you look at the instance group, you could see the instance group details. And then here is the instance template. And so here's some information about the instance template. What I'm interested in is over here, this custom metadata. So I'm interested in this field called user data in order to tell a StorageLink server you are a single instance or you are an HA instance pointing to an external database. We pass that information to the server via user data using this cloud init syntax. And so if you click this drop down, you can actually see the data that we pass in. So for HA, we're going to first off pass in a flag, architecture equals HA. If this flag exists, then this instance knows to go looking for an external database. Of course, the cloud provider is going to be Google Cloud. And then we also supply a secret ID and a DB host, which has some database connection information. And so this is cloud init syntax. So under write files, we have an array containing 2 items, 1 and 2. The first item, we're going to write this content to this file. And so the first launch script for StorageLink, it will source this file, which contains these 4 variables. And then when it goes through the Bootstrap script, these variables will determine what parts of the script are run, namely the HA portions of the script. Okay, so this is the instance template that contains the user data information. We're going to pass similar information into our admin box to make it think that it is also in HA. And on this tab, I have the Postgres SQL database. And this database is running right now as part of an existing HA stack. I may have an instance running, or I might have spun them down. But the important thing is the database is running right now, and it is already configured to serve out StorageLink to these 2 StorageLink instances. So these are the database. This is the database overview page. I'm going to sort of cheat. So instead of going through the marketplace, I am actually going to go through our own internal VM images. I'm going to launch from our custom VMs. We have a local version of StorageLink deploying from the marketplace with these settings. I could save that for another video. But for now, I'm going to show you how to pass in user data into this VM instance launch. So this is the create an instance wizard. If when you go into compute, create a new VM, this is the wizard that you'll go through. So we'll start off with the name. I'm going to call this Rob standalone VM demo. I also have a document here which contains some notes that I'll be running through this document. This you've already seen. This is the user data from that I copied from the instance template. This is some other information that we're going to need later. Okay, so I'm going to use US East 1 and then Zone C. I think what matters most is that we are in the same region. An E2 medium size is fine. E2 medium. Let's see, what else do we got here? Okay, the boot disk. I'm cheating a little bit. I am using our own internal image of StorageLink 103. For the rest of you, you'll probably have slightly different instructions because you're going through the marketplace. Okay, so identity and API access. Going back to this diagram, these instances connect to the database through 2 ways. The first way, there's an initialization process that uses like a username and password to initialize the database, but subsequent connections will occur through via IAM authentication. And so these instances, besides having the ability to write to Google Cloud Storage, for example, or having compute permissions. These instances have a IAM role that has IAM access to this SQL database. So rather than like I'm going to need those same IAM permissions. So instead of creating like a new IAM role for this instance, I'm simply going to point to the existing IAM role created for these guys. So let's see if it'll let me search for, this is the IAM role that is on my already associated with the HA stack. I am just going to leverage this existing role. Okay, I think I got it. All right. Next, I'm going to dive into these advanced options. There's a lot here. The only thing that I'm interested in for this demo, first, networking. I have this one firewall rule that lets me connect from my home and office. This is just for me to be able to access the VM via port 443, for example. This also has rules allowing me to SSH in as well via the SSH in browser. And let's see what else. Finally, we've got this user data here that I copied from the instance template. And you can actually inject this user data here under management. There's going to be this automation text area where it says startup script. Now, the user data is in cloud init format, so it is not a script. So right below this automation startup script section, there's a metadata section, and I'm going to add an item called user-data, all lowercase. And then this is the key. The value is a text area where I am going to copy all of this and paste it here. So it looks like that. And that's pretty much it. So to recap, I'm pointing to the StorageLink image somewhere here. Here. I'm pointing to the StorageLink image. I'm pointing to the existing IAM role from the other stack. This gives me database permissions. I am adding a network tag so that I can access this VM from my machine. And finally, I am passing in user data information that I stole from the instance template of the existing HA stack. Okay, now I'm going to click create. And so this VM is going to spin up. I'm going to give it a moment, and in the meantime, I'm going to pause the video, and we'll be back shortly. Okay, I'm back, and it looks like this VM has spun up. So let's take a look at the public IP under this networking section. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to this IP, and let's see if I can log in and see the information that's on the stack. Okay, it looks like we have like a loading screen here. So let's give it another minute or two and let it fully initialize. And then if we refresh, okay, so it looks like it took a little bit of time for it to spin up, but I now see the login screen instead of the first launch screen, so that's a good sign. I'm going to log in using my credentials from the other stack. And it looks like it's letting me log in. And if I go under users, there's a test user I created on the other stack, which is here. So I'm on the admin standalone VM pointing to the database of another stack, and I am looking at a user that I created on that other stack. So to recap, this is a niche use case where if you have like an HA stack and you want to have like a separate admin box, maybe on a different subnet, and you want to connect to an existing HA database, this is the way to do it. Or let's say if you have separation of roles in your environment, you have like a database team and they're in charge of spinning up the database, and then you're on the team where you have access to provision VMs and you need to connect to an existing database. So, and then your setup would look like this. So there's some scenarios where you might need to connect to an existing database. This is one way you can configure things. Anyhow, so in summary, you would spin up this VM, but you would pass in some information into the user data to trick it to think that it's in HA, that it needs to look for an external database. And then you would pass in some other information such as the database credentials. You would also have to borrow the IAM role from these instances to give you permissions to this database. And then when you spin up the VM, it will be pointing to the external database. I hope this is helpful, and thank you for watching.